Today I'm going to talk to you about landing session work as an aspiring professional musician, the two different ways to do it, the pros and cons of each, and which one I recommend you doing. So sometimes if you're in a dead-end job and you're working hard, you're grinding at your passion for music, you want to start landing enough work to do that full time so you can ditch the day job. It can be a very frustrating process because you're really wanting to get as much work as you can in as quick as possible because, of course, we'd all rather be doing what we love for a living than working in a dead end or a 9-to-5 job or just being in a job that you hate. You obviously want to get to that position as soon as possible. The problem with that is, though, that when you're rushed and you're thinking short term, you're making rushed decisions, and rushed decisions are never good decisions. You're doing whatever you can as quickly as possible so you can get to that point where you can leave your job and do music full time. So these feelings of frustration and the need to get to where you want to be as quick as possible makes you take these rushed decisions, which then in turn damages your business. And while you're there thinking that grinding and doing these specific certain things are going to help you get to where you want to be as quick as possible, it's actually having the opposite effect. This subject hits very hard home to me because I am that kind of person that just wants to get where I want to be in life as quick as possible. And I've learned a lot, even recently over the past 6 to 12 months, that I need to stop rushing. And when I have rushed in the past, it's been all that's on my mind. I've just wanted to quit my job. I wanted to do everything as soon as possible, and I've made really bad decisions for it. I've wasted a lot of money trying to get more money to pump into my business. I've wasted a lot of money on advertising, thinking that it's going to be a quick fix to all my solutions. I've most likely pushed away potential clients for being too pushy because I feel like I need to land that client because it's just the be all and end all at the time. I've made terrible decisions all through this short-term way of thinking. Once I switched my thought process and the way I was doing things to a more long-term approach where I do a little bit every day and I concentrate on building it from the ground up, from the start, correctly, and slowly building over time, creating good habits, that is where my business, funnily enough, saw most of its growth. And yes, it did take a bit longer for that to come into effect, but it was sustainable growth. It was growing. I could see it growing. I was getting new clients through the door where I wasn't before. And the thing is, it was consistent as well. So I want to convince you today to go for the long-term approach and teach you how to actually go through the long-term approach rather than the short-term rushing approach where you're making bad decisions, pushing potential clients away and wasting money on advertising. So let's compare both approaches right now. So the short-term approach, first of all, usually consists of advertising. So I've mentioned this before in a previous video that advertising seems to be a quick fix solution to quite a lot of people, including myself in the past, where I think, right, I've not got any clients through the door at the minute. I've got a little bit of money in my bank account. I'm just going to chuck a few Facebook ads out there. No matter how many times I've done that, I have never yet landed a client through that way, through just randomly putting up an advert, no thinking, or not a lot of thinking or thought process behind it, but just putting up an advert, hoping for the best, spending the money that's left in my bank account to try get another client. Now you can trick yourself at that point, and I have done myself, into thinking that you're doing a good thing, you're being proactive, which in one way you are, but yet again, it's a rushed decision. You're not doing a lot of research into your marketing. You're not putting a lot of thought into your advert. You're just throwing one out there most of the time in order to get a quick client. This wastes time, this wastes money, it makes us frustrated, and it actually sets us back in our business where we could be spending that money on better things. The second thing about being short-term minded is that you always have it in the back of your head that every single client is absolutely vital. Whether it's the right kind of client for you or you're just trying to mold yourself around somebody just to land the project. If you come across as pushy when you're talking to somebody, if you're only talking about the project or the money or them becoming your client, then you are going to push people away. Business, especially in the creative industry, is built on relationships, and your priority should be building relationships with people and then clients coming after that. You need to be good at building relationships, good at building friendships. You need to care about people, add value to people, be helpful in order to generate business. So the opposite to that is the long-term approach where you are focused more on building a long-term relationship with the people you talk to. It usually involves just approaching a few people a day, a few new people networking online to get new contacts and then just talking to them over a long period of time. Like I said, this is a much longer game to play. It will take months to years in order to get people from being your friend or an acquaintance to then working with you, but it's reliable, it works, and it will eventually pay off. So what I recommend then is right now starting to approach one new person, one new contact, one new lead a day. So this could be anywhere. It could be if you have a local place that you meet up with people. It could be, a physical meetup, obviously post-COVID. Failing that, there's many places online where you can find clients. Places like Instagram, Bandcamp, Facebook groups, things like that. There are a lot of places where your potential clients hang out and you can very easily approach them. Once you've started to get into the routine of approaching one new person a day, eventually move that up to 10 people a day, because when I was approaching 10 people a day, that's where I noticed most growth and most new people becoming interested in my business. So that is a nice round figure that I suggest that you aim for, but to start with, create the habit, approach one new person a day, maybe after a few weeks up that to 2, then double it again to 4 a few weeks later, and just slowly build up to 10 where it's really becoming your habit and you don't have to think about doing it. Now, once somebody that you message or approach messages you back and they state that they're interested, or you get along with them well, you've had a good conversation, and you think there's scope to grow and build a friendship and it might sprout into some work or something in the future, you want to add them to a CRM. And this is just simply like a business contact storage system where you can add all your leads to it, all your clients to it, and it just sends you gentle reminders to follow up and catch up with people. And it gives you a space as well to write down notes about that person and record conversations. And it's just a great overall tool for staying in touch with your leads and clients. The whole purpose of a CRM is to keep in touch and give you those follow-up reminders. So the third thing you want to do is to keep following up with those people that are interested in you and in your business on a regular basis. Build a relationship, see how they're doing, catch up on a regular basis, and offer to add value. If they're going through anything music related at that time where you can help them or give them advice, then do that, because that builds trust and gets them closer to either wanting to work with you or refer their friends to you. This process of approaching a few people a day, adding them to a CRM, and then following up over a long period of time consistently can take anywhere from at least 6 to 12 months in order to see results from the work you're putting in. And that initial amount of time can be very frustrating, but if you go through it, if you just battle through it, then you will be really surprised at the amount of difference it makes. I started doing this in my business, drum audio editing, and after about 6 months, I finally had enough clientele to quit my job. The results were just amazing, and that was just from approaching 10 people a day, keeping in touch with the people that wanted to keep in touch with me, and just adding value wherever I could. I had people coming to me wanting to work with me, referring other people to me, posting about me in Facebook groups. It really does have a massive impact. So like I say, if you're making short-term rush decisions, they're never usually good ones, whether that's either pumping a lot of money you can't afford into advertising or bad advertising, and also rushing clients, having that feeling of neediness when you're talking to them and turning potential clients off. If you think long term, you build relationships with people and you do a little bit every day in order to build your network and build your client base, then you will notice huge results over time after all that work you're putting in compounds over each and every day that you're doing it. Like I say, a little bit a day doesn't take a lot of time and it doesn't feel like you're doing a lot at the time. But if you repeat that action every single day for a course of 6 to 12 months, you will notice a huge difference. An important thing that I'm going to say as well, which is a mistake that I've made in the past, is I've stopped putting in this work when my clientele grew and when my client base grew. So I thought, you know what, I've done it. I've got a decent client base now. I don't need to do these things that I'm doing every day anymore. I don't need to reach out to new people. I don't need to put as much effort into outreaching and following up with people. That is such a big mistake, because you need to keep putting up this amount of work in order to maintain that amount of work that you've got at that current time. So I obviously noticed a big drop off in work when I just focused on the new work coming in and stopped putting in that initial work that I had been doing into growing my client base and following up with people. So I'd say it's the most dangerous thing that you can do to stop doing this once you get into the habit, because once you stop, it's very hard to get into again. And I know that from my own experience. So like I say, build up these good habits over time, approach a few people a day, keep in touch with them, focus on building relationships and adding value to people, and your business will prosper in the future.